Hi and welcome to Introduction to Shamanism. My name is Rhonda and I'm the founder and CEO of the Centre for Shamanism, and I'm so happy to welcome you to this workshop today. I'd like to start things off by giving you a wee insight into how I became acquainted with shamanism and how it changed my life. I do love to tell that story. So in a past life, not a real past life, just in this lifetime, I was an accountant and ran companies and, did various important jobs and was fairly successful at that. But the reality was that underneath I was depressed, anxious, struggled with my self-esteem, with my self-worth, struggled to know who I was as a person, and just generally struggled in life. It was really difficult for me to get up in the morning, and as soon as I could get into my bed at night, that's what I would do. I would sleep. I knew there was more to life than that. I knew there had to be more. And I had looked for it in my life at different points. My parents were fairly spiritual people. So I knew about spiritual things, and probably more than most, actually. Or more than this people that I've met in my life, for sure. And I rebelled against that and became an accountant. I thought, no, that's rubbish. I'm really not interested in any of that. But I knew that there was something missing. And it turns out I just had to find my own way with it. Then there was a big change, a big catalyst. My dad died about 7 years ago now. And it was a big shock for the family. And it was a big shock for me. And it really made me question legacy. And I thought to myself, if I die right now, will I be happy with what I'm leaving in the world? And the answer was definitely no. I would be really unhappy. I'd be really devastated if I died right now. Like, I really am so unhappy with myself, with my life, with the trajectory of my career, with everything. So after the kind of initial grief passed, I started to look for other things. And I stumbled on a shamanic class. And my dad died in the February and this was in the March, so it was really not long after, just a few weeks after he died. A friend of mine, our daughters were friends at school. She was a shaman. I always thought she was a bit nuts, a bit strange. Really lovely, but a bit strange. Turns out she was my saviour at that time. And she held such a beautiful space and gave me such a beautiful experience that, and also the whole concept of shamanism and how you connect and working with guides and working with nature and the earth, and just everything just resonated so strongly, and it felt like coming home. So I didn't look back. I'd signed up for a 6-month training that I did initially on shamanic storytelling. Then I did a 3-year practitioner training and then another year of advanced training with death and dying. Set up my business, and quite quickly after I graduated from my training, I was able to give up my full-time job, and this is what I do now, full-time. I will never go back to that life. I'll never go back to the old me, who was never really me in the first place. That sense of self and confidence and knowing and connection is just so worth all the hard work that it took to get here. All the shadow work being looking at your disconnected parts and bringing them back to yourself, looking at the shame that I carried, looking at the guilt, looking at just all of the aspects of my life that I had no idea how to deal with. Shamanism gave me a light, it gave me a hope, it gave me a path, and now I hope to offer that to you. So this introduction class is really about giving you a taste of what shamanism is. It's a very small taste. This isn't what we're going to do today. Isn't shamanism. It's an introduction to how to connect. It's an introduction to spirit guides. So we're going to do a journey today, which I'll explain what that is. But for those of you who know, we're going to go on a shamanic journey to meet a guide. And at the end of this workshop, I'm going to offer and invite you to join a short healing circle, just to experience that. Sometimes the journey itself can be quite tough because we have expectations and difficulties, and the healing circle at the end is just a really lovely way to complete this process. So do stay for that. I recommend it. It's a really lovely way to work. Okay, shamanism. Shamanism is an ancient technique used for millennia across every inhabited continent. There's evidence for shamanic work. And every time the scientists do more research or find more sites, the date gets pushed back and back and back and back and back, and we're now finding artefacts that are potentially as much as 100,000 years old. Artefacts that suggest a shamanic way of life. So the word shaman is from Siberia. It's a word that means he or she who knows, and it is a Tungus tribe word, so it's very specific to that area of the world. And why that word was chosen to describe shamanism, I actually don't know the answer to that. I'm sure someone does. I try not to put too much emphasis on the word that we use, and I put more emphasis on the connection that we're trying to create. So although I'm the CEO of the Centre for Shamanism, I work with shamanism, that's my area, that's my bag. The word doesn't matter, it's the connection that matters. So we need labels because we need maps, we need to understand what it is that we're working with. But really what we're working with is the divine universal right to connect to all things and be at one with ourselves and with the planet. Just to voice the question that most people ask about cultural appropriation, we're not lifting ceremonies straight from cultures who have closed practice, for example. We're not stealing things from Indigenous people. We all have Indigenous ancestors if we go back far enough. And what Indigenous people are lucky enough to have is an unbroken line to that Indigenous past. We have a broken line, but that doesn't mean that we can't work with shamanism. It doesn't mean that we can't reconnect with the land where we live, wherever you are in the world. It doesn't matter. And even if you are, say, British and have moved abroad, or your family's moved abroad in past generations, that doesn't mean that you can't connect with the land here. You don't need to be here to connect with the land here. You can do that through shamanic work, through shamanic connection, through knowing how to journey. So we all have the right to work in this way. We all have the right to connection, and I try not to think too much about what people would call cultural appropriation. I stick to things I learn myself, that my guides have shown me, that I've seen through visions and guidance, I've seen through connecting with the land and the ancient sites here in Scotland where I live, and then hopefully through time and a bit of confidence in your work, you'll be able to do the same. So we create our own ceremonies and our own way of working, and sometimes the things that I'm shown are very similar to some of our Indigenous brothers and sisters, but that's because it's all the same thing. We're all working with the same energy. There's no separation. We're all just walking each other home. Okay. So what is a shamanic journey? Let's start there. Well, a shamanic journey is where we alter our state of consciousness. So we're moving ourselves out of this realm, out of this solid realm, out of our body. Sometimes we take our body with us actually, but in this case we're going to go on a journey with our soul, energy, whatever. And we shift ourselves, we shift our consciousness, and our consciousness lifts out and into another space. And in that space we can communicate with our guides, we can communicate with helping spirits, with helping beings. And the way that we do that is we follow the guiding principles of shamanism, which I'm going to tell you about today, and we follow certain steps, which I'm also going to tell you today. So at the end of this workshop, you'll be able to go away and do this yourself. That's the plan. We offer a Facebook community where you can ask questions and share your experience if that's something that you need to do. You're very welcome to do that. And kind of join the tribe and the community, because we're really not meant to do this work alone, we're meant to work together. So the shamanic journey is where we change our brainwaves using percussion, like drums, like rattles, music, body thumping, click sticks, two sticks banging together. There's lots of different ways to create that altered state of consciousness. Some people use plant medicine, drugs, that's fine, I don't work in that way, but you can also do that. this work that we're doing today, the guiding principles of the work that we're doing today stand for plant medicine the same way as they stand for using percussion to alter our state of consciousness. So as long as you work with these guiding principles of safe practice, then you should be fine. Okay. So we're going to alter our state of consciousness and go on what's called a shamanic journey, which is basically like an imaginary daydream with spirit guides in it, right? And what we're going to do today is we're going to meet a guide. We're going to meet a spirit guide, and I'm going to take you on a journey to do that. What is a spirit guide? A spirit guide is, in my opinion, a manifestation of the divine source, the divine light, the thing that the God light. Some people call it God, some people call it the universe, some people call it other things. It's all the same thing, it's just a map, it's just a word. So it's my belief that our shamanic guides, that our spiritual team are a manifestation of the divine light of the universe that come to us in a form that we can understand. So whether that's angels, mythical creatures, animal totems, colours, elements, fairies, lots of people end up with like Native American guides or Egyptian gods and goddesses. I work with Pictish guides, so Picts come from the far north of Scotland where I live, predate the Celtic culture, so that's where I work, in that Pictish realm. So your guides who come forward, the manifestation of the guides that come forward can be literally anything. And sometimes people don't know who their guides are, they just feel that they're there. And that's a really important distinction to make. So if you do not see your guides today, it doesn't mean they're not there. It just means that they don't present themselves to you in that way. They may do that in the future, I don't know, because everybody experiences this work very differently. So it's about finding out what's right for you. Which brings me on nicely to the idea that when we do these journeys, people often think that they will see things like a dream, like a multiverse, and it'll be like we'll see all these wonders. And lots of people do experience their journeys like that, with their eyes, with their vision senses. But I'm afraid that many people don't. And I'll say this today a few times. I'll probably say it in the group at least twice this week, and I'll probably get at least 7 emails of people saying, it's not working, I don't see anything. But we don't always see things. We have 6 senses. We have, I always forget one when I do this, but we all know what the 6 senses are: touch, smell, hearing, auditory, the inner knowing, the feelings, the physical touch, all of that. We need to employ all of our senses in order to really get or receive our messages. So myself, I receive my messages sometimes visually. I get visions for people, certainly, but often I'll feel things in my body more than I'll see things. I'll just have a knowing, it'll be a flash. Like one of the first journeys that I did, I didn't see anything, but one of the flashes that I got was an animal, so I knew that animal was for me. But I didn't see it, I just knew it was there. So that's a really important thing about this work, is to not get too attached to how you receive messages and how you experience this work. So that's the journey with the guides, but why do we bother? Why would we do that? What would be the point? Wisdom, healing and guidance. That's what you'll get from your guides. So you can ask them questions, you can ask for healing, you can ask to be given information, wisdom and guidance about something that's going on in your life. I'll talk more about that later, but that's the point of it. The point is to have a team. The point is to never feel like you're alone in this life. The point is to know that you can always call on your spiritual team when you need them. You don't need to be in a shamanic journey for that. That's just a really deep way to connect, especially for the first time. But your guides will speak to you all the time. It's that moment of intuition. Maybe when you were going to overtake a car and they didn't, and you don't know why. It turns out it wasn't going to be safe for you. It's intuition. It's your inner knowing. It's the way that they speak to you. It's the flashes of knowledge. So we're going to develop our intuition, develop our sense of self through shamanic journey work and through personal development work. So we work side by side. That's the teachings that I offer, is that spiritual development path. And I use shamanism as the mechanism for that. So we've got a journey. We go off somewhere on an imaginary carpet ride, for want of a better way to think about it. We meet friends who we can't see in this world necessarily. Sometimes people do see them, actually. You do see your guides occasionally when you're not in a journey. So we have guides, we have a spiritual team. You can have more than one guide. Your guides can change and they can go away and not come back. They can stay with you forever. You just never know. It's very fluid. It's a fluid relationship. As you grow, your guides grow. As you learn new things, you get new guides. It's really dynamic and exciting way to work. Okay, so what are these basic guiding principles for safe practice that I've been talking about? Well, we're working with energy, we're working with unseen realms, we're working with things that we don't necessarily understand or know how to deal with yet. And in order to be safe, you put certain things in place. Now, when I say in order to be safe, sometimes people get fear. What do I need to be safe from? So it's a bit like when you drive a car, you put a seatbelt on. It's not that you expect to crash, but it's just a sensible thing to do. It's like when you go on a night out and you don't go home by yourself. You don't expect anything to happen, but it's a sensible thing to do. So what I'm giving you is I'm giving you the friend to walk you home. I'm giving you the seatbelt in the car. It's not that I'm saying that anything's going to happen, but what I'm saying is that there's the possibility, so let's just be careful. All right? There's good and bad. Good and bad. Is that how we want to categorise it? I don't know. We can get into a philosophical discussion in the Facebook group. But where there is light, there is always dark. There's yin and yang. That's always the way that it's been. And we want to keep ourselves firmly in the light and firmly in safe practice. So these guiding principles that I'm going to give you today will help you to stay in the light and stay in ethical, clear practice. Yeah? Okay. So, when we're going to go on a journey, the steps are: have an intention for your journey. So I'm going to talk about these in detail. Set sacred space, really important. Connect with your guide, whether you know who that is or not. Just hold the intention that you're connecting with your guide. Go on your journey. Come back and write it down. And then complete and ground. 6 things that will keep you safe. Excuse me. And these guiding principles are not here to box you in. They're not here, I'm not saying these are the rules. I'm telling you through experience, through working with other people, through mentors, through many years of training, through observation, through reading, that these guiding principles are just sensible, like putting on your seatbelt or making sure that you're not alone in the dark. We don't do rules here. There's no book that will say this is the right way, this is what this means, this is what that means. It's all about guiding principles. It's all about empowerment. Okay, so we're empowering you to have your own map with this work. And if you work with a map using these guiding principles, then you'll be safe. There's also, those are the steps. There's also a couple of other guiding principles that we're going to talk about today as well, which are the ethical side of shamanism, working with ethics when we're journeying. And within these guiding principles, we're going to go into some more detail. I'm going to flesh it out a bit. So, number 1, intention. This is a big one. This is and when it comes to safe practice, we're not fortune tellers. We're not here to find out where our lover is, when we're going to meet a man or a woman. We're not here to find out when we're going to get a promotion or a new car. Like, we're not fortune tellers. If you want a fortune telling course, you're in the wrong place. That's not what we do. What we do is we practice radical personal responsibility. So instead of asking about a lover, or what's my love life going to be like, or my new car, my new house, a promotion, instead of asking about the future, in other words, giving your power away to your guides and saying, show me what's going to happen, we switch it round. Because everything that you do in every moment affects the outcome of the future. Some people believe that destiny is fixed. I mean, who knows? What I know from my experience is that concentrating on the here and now, taking action now to manifest, to create the world that you want, the future that you want, the future that you deserve, that's what works. So rather than asking about your love life in the future, what we want to say is, what steps can I take now for my own happiness? What changes do I need to make to attract the type of person that I'd like to attract, for example? What changes do I need to make in order for me to get this promotion? What do I need to put in place now to create the life that I would like for myself? Okay, so when it comes to setting an intention, what you want from your journey, either the information or the healing, radical personal responsibility, all about you, and not about the future. So it's about now. So you can ask for healing, wisdom and guidance. Okay? Now, guidance is a funny one, because if you say to your guides, should I do this or this? They're not going to answer. Or they might answer, but it might be it might not be easy to interpret or understand. Asking your guides to tell you what to do isn't what we do either. And that's really interesting, because you're like, well, I'm never alone. You're telling me I'm never alone. You're telling me that I've got these guys to help me, but they can't tell me what to do. So I know it can be a bit confusing. But what you need to ask is, I've got two paths in front of me. I can go this way or I can go this way. And what your guides will often say is, well, you'll learn both ways. Like, you'll learn either way. So rather than asking what you should do, ask them to give you you can ask for signs, for example. Give me a sign to show me the way that is for my best and highest good in this life. You can do that. But really what we're using our shamanic practice for is to build the confidence to make our own decisions, is to be able to listen to our own intuition, which some people say is the guides talking to us as well. So you see, it can get a bit trickstery and a bit difficult to understand, and that's okay. Okay, that's okay. It can get quite philosophical and deep. But on the surface, the basic principle is make sure that you're keeping the responsibility for your work to yourself. What action can I take? What do I need to know to help me make this decision? So you're the one that's going to make the decision, but you can ask for information to help you make that decision. Yeah, what can I do for myself? And if you need healing, you can ask for that. I'm really struggling to know what to do, or I really know that I need to take this action, but I just simply can't do it. Please can I receive some help for that? Please can I receive some healing for that? So that's a really good intention as well. So next, you set your sacred space. Now, most people who come to me with connection issues, I can't connect with my guide, I can't connect with my journey, don't do this enough to start with. They don't build a relationship with setting sacred space. So sacred space is the process by which you clear the area of any energy that isn't in the best and highest good of what you're about to do, and it's like setting up a bubble, a safe, sacred bubble that you can work in. So you can go off and do your journey and meet your guides and do whatever it is you're doing in the safe knowledge that you are in a holy place, that you're in a place of divine light and love. And how you do that, candles are really good. I always like a candle. You saw me do that at the beginning. You can burn herbs. Some people call it smudging. Not everybody likes that word. Some people think it's a Native American word. There's a Celtic word that you can also use. It's saining, S-A-I-N-I-N-G, saining. It's the same thing. The word doesn't matter. It's the intention that counts. So what you're doing is you're burning your herbs. I usually collect herbs from a local area in my garden and use those rather than buying things off the internet and you don't know where they come from. So I'll burn and hold the intention that the smoke is just clearing any energy, clearing your energetic field. I keep banging this over this trunk and out of the way. You can also rattle in the space. Open a window and rattle anything out towards the window. That's a good way to clear space. You can burn incense. You don't need to do any of these things, but it is good to choose a few things to do. Like, not everybody likes to light candles, so instead of lighting a candle, you can have a really nice lamp that you turn on specifically for your journey work. You can use those like really nice little oil burners. I've got a couple in the back here that light up a little bit and, you know, give out that really nice smell of essential oils, so you can do that. The whole idea is the intention behind it. The intention behind setting your sacred space is to create an environment that's really lovely and feels great. So if you rush that, it's not so good. It can just mean that you've not quite gotten into the zone. Yeah, you're looking to get into the zone of something really magical to have, for something really magical to happen. So then once you've kind of lit a candle, you've smudged or stained the space, you've rattled around the room, you start to give a little blessing. So you call in what you would like to protect you on your journey. And it is protection. Let's make no mistake about that. So I usually call in the 4 directions: north, south, east and west, sky above and earth below, ancestors, guides, angels, the moon, the sun, the cosmos, the infinite possibility of this universe. What else? The tree spirits, nature spirits, the hidden folk, the fairy folk, the spirit of the land. Another nice thing that you can do as well is connect with the spirit of the place that you're doing your journey. So like your bedroom or a room in your house, you can connect with that room and give thanks to the room for holding you. You can do that, which is really nice. So you're saying, you know, call in the 4 sacred directions. This, I am in sacred space. I ask that this journey is only for my best and highest good. And call in your guides, connect with your guides, even if you don't know who they are. So once you've set up your sacred space, you've got your intention, set up your sacred space, now you're going to go on your journey. So there's lots of ways you can do that. You can lie down with your eyes closed and the lights off. That's a nice way to start if you've not done it before. Then I'll often drum for myself and dance around. I take my body with me on my journeys. I don't lie flat with my eyes shut. Sometimes I'll even have my eyes open, but I'll be in like a trance state. So you don't have to be lying down. You can, if you lie down, you think you're going to fall asleep, do it sitting up. And then you can, at home, when you do this at home, you can either drum for yourself or you can listen to a drumming track. So I have a resources page on my website, centreforshamanism.com/resources, that has, not only does it have a good book list of books that I trust. I haven't written a book, but I've read all of these books and I really enjoy them, so there's a book list, but there's also a list of tracks that I've done myself. So it's me drumming and rattling and doing different things, so you can use that for your journeys at home. And actually also there's a whole list of PDF how-to guides as well, so there's quite a lot of resources, free resources in there for you, so check that out for at home. So you're just about to do your journey, that would be a good place to get a drumming track to do that with. If you don't want to do that, you can use YouTube or Spotify. There's loads of different things that you can use. So choose a track, headphones can be helpful, put the track on and off you go. And when I say off you go, we'll get to that in a minute. And then you finish your journey and come back, retrace your steps, come back the way you came. If you forget, it's fine, but it's just helpful for your energetic body to retrace the steps backwards, even if it's super quick. Sometimes you just feel like you feel yourself being pulled back into your body. You wake up, what you come to, you can either close space and write it down, or write it down and then close space, whatever's comfortable for you. I usually come back, write it down, and I'm still in sacred space then, and then I close my space. And how you do that is you blow out your candle, smudge again, rattle, make sure you're feeling like you're really back in your body, yeah? So you're like patting. If you feel really lightheaded or like really still spacey, even if you enjoy the feeling, it's not good for you to do that. You need to be grounded. By grounded, that means properly in your body, properly back. So have a hot cup of tea, or go out into nature and have a walk with the wind in your face, or have a hot shower or a nice bath. Stuff like that. So earthy self-care things are really good for bringing you back to yourself fully. And make sure you do that. It's important to come back fully from these experiences. So you've got your intention, you set your sacred space, you've got your music, headphones, or doing it yourself. You go on the journey, you come back, write it down, and then you ground and complete. So writing it down is important because it means that your intention that you set at the beginning, you can compare it to what you experienced. So this intention you made, you don't need to remember that all the way through. Just write that down and leave it to the side, and then just go with the flow and see what happens, yeah? Don't be like, oh, what was my intention, what was my intention, what was my intention? Because you'll just distract yourself. So you then say, oh, this was my intention and this was my journey. And then the journey the information that you're given, you need to interpret that. And how you do that is very varied. It's a whole other workshop, in fact. But just super quick, just really basic, look for the symbolism, okay? I always want to say the symbology because I've obviously been reading too much Harry Potter, but the symbolism, look for the symbolism. So if there's a doorway that you can't open and you're trapped in a room, what does that mean? Probably that you're trapped somewhere in your life and that you need to be able to open that door. So it's a message about being trapped somewhere and needing to open the door for yourself. How are you going to do that? Maybe there's something else that then explains how you're going to do that. Maybe a key, maybe you find a key in your pocket that then opens the door. So the power, you have had the power all along to make that change. Yeah, so it's like, look at the symbols that you're given. Think about it in terms of fairy stories. Fairy stories are really simple. Like Red Riding Hood. You never know where they are. It's all a bit vague. It's all a bit like like red cloak, 3 bears, 3 bowls of porridge, wolf. Oh no, there's not a wolf in the 3 bears. But you get the idea. So it's like quite simple, like the fairy story archetype. So look at the symbols and draw out that information to how that's relevant for your life, which is the point of what we're doing, yeah? To help us in our life. So that's the idea behind the shamanic journey, yeah? So one thing that I've not said is where you go on this journey. Where do you end up? Well, there are a couple of maps that you can use. I'm all about the maps. And maps are maps. You get different types of maps. No one person on this planet knows what goes on. What this is really all about. All we can do is create maps for ourselves. Yeah, so one of the maps of this place that we go to is the 3 world map, which many of you might have heard of. So it's the Great Tree, and you go to the tree, which is a portal, and it takes you either up to the upper realms, through to the middle realms, or down to the lower realms. And each realm has its own personality, has its own gifts, has its own wisdom and guidance, and it will depend on what you need, will depend on where you either ask to be taken or where your guide will take you. So like a good intention would be, take me to the upper worlds and show me what I can learn there, and do that for each of the worlds. You can do that, that's a good intention. And then another map for this place that we go to is the Celtic map, which shows the Celtic underworld, and you sail there across a lake on a boat, and it's called Imra. So you can also go there if you want. And really, the idea of this journey is just to do whatever resonates. Don't think about it too much. There's no right or wrong way.
If you don't use any of those maps and just end up somewhere else, that's fine as well. Like, we've got a tendency in this culture to be like, what's the right and wrong way? I need to know what to do. But if I can't know what every single person who I teach will experience, how they will experience this. So it's your responsibility to notice what works for you and to just do that. As long as you work within, again, the guiding principles, not the rules, the guiding principles of safe practice, then you will be fine regardless of where you go. So choose one or the other, or if you end up doing something else, that's fine as well. So when I used to do these journeys, I used to guide them. I used to say, close your eyes, we're here, we're going to go to the tree, then we're going to sit in the tree and we're going to wait and see who comes. But what I found was it was actually after a while, it was really good to start with. But after a while, I noticed that it really began to get in people's way. My voice often just jarred people out of their own experience. So I don't do that anymore. I don't do guided. I will do a guided thing if it's like a one-on-one. But mostly I don't do guided journeys, I just do journeys. So what you're doing is you're using your imagination. Okay, so you're using the power of your imagination to take you on a wee daydream to the beat of the drum. That's what we're doing. That's the best way that I can think to describe this mechanism. It's like a daydream, or it's like an imagination journey that maybe we used to have when we were in school and like really bored, something like that. So yeah, you might not see anything on your journey, so be very open to the sensations in your body, to all of your senses. Wherever you end up to meet a guide and you're not sure, ask 4 times. You might not receive 4 audible yeses. Open your heart. Trust your instincts. I hold a very, very strong space. I'm very good at what I do. You're in safe hands. There's nothing that's going to be there for you that's anything other than safe. Might not be your guide, but it's not unsafe. So what you're really looking to do is relax into the experience. Just listen to the sound of the drum. The heartbeat of the shaman will guide you to where you need to be. Okay? And just don't worry too much about it if you can. You can also come back and do this as many times as you need to. So there's no pressure. No pressure. So I'll open space. I'll say some words. I'll drum for a few minutes. And then when the drumming speeds up, I'll also tell you the drumming will speed up really fast. You come back the way you came, and then we're done. And that's it. Really easy. I'm just going to take a second to see if there's anything else that I want to say before we do the journey. So you might not see things, so you need to feel your way through it. You're using your imagination. There's no right or wrong way to do that. Your guide can be anything, and you might only get a knowing. Trust your instincts. Okay. If you need a break before we do that, go ahead and pause this workshop. If not, lie down, get comfortable, and we will get started. Okay. So take some nice deep breaths. Feel yourself begin to relax. As you bring your awareness down, 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 and into your body. You notice the texture of your clothes against your skin. And the quality of the air as you breathe. Any tension in your jaw melting away. And allowing your daily thoughts and cares to leave your mind now, held safely for you until we return. You won't need them where we're going. We call now on the 4 sacred directions of north, east, south and west, the sky above and the earth below, and the centre that is the divine within each of us. We call on our guides, both known and unknown, and thank them for their presence, their wisdom, healing and guidance. We ask that each person on this journey meets a guide in exactly the right way for them, as clear as possible. And we are open and ready to receive our guides in whatever way is right for us. We feel our ancestors circling and protecting, the spirits of the land, nature, trees, the hidden folk. We feel the spirit of the land where each of us are. We feel the energy, and we feel the permission for this work and the joy as we bring back this ancient way of connecting. This circle, this sacred space, holds each person through space and time, clear, crystal clear, and a sacred healing temple of light, only available for this work and for nothing else. We each find ourselves in that sacred bubble, safe and held, so that we may relax into this sacred ceremony. The space is open. We allow ourselves now to be taken by the beat of the drum. We allow our imagination to run wild.
Take some nice deep breaths. Feel those fingers and toes. We give thanks for our gifts. The space is closed. Thank you. Welcome back from the other worlds. I hope you find that exciting, new maybe. Hope you found something exciting as far as a guide was concerned. The group is available for questions, so please do ask in the group if you have any problems or questions or confusions. It's your first time, it's very natural to feel a bit overwhelmed. It's natural to feel disappointed. It's natural to feel confused. It's also natural if you just took it like a duck to water as well. So there's no right or wrong way here. We just have to meet ourselves where we're at and take the next steps that we need to take. And sometimes that's asking questions and getting support. So what you do next is you go ahead and try this at home. You've got your guiding principles, safe space, you've got your intention very clear. We know we've met a guide, or if you don't know who your guide is, that's okay. Remember to connect with them anyway. Stay in on I wish to connect with my guides, even if I don't know them, and this journey I only want to experience things that are for my best and highest good. That's not to say that it won't be difficult, but it is for your best and highest good. Yeah. Just a wee word about ethics. Without training, please do not journey for other people. Please do not offer to do this work for others. You don't have any training. When you get into it and you learn more about it, you'll see why. I don't do rules. So if you insist that that's something that you think that you can do for whatever reason, you must ask permission from the person that you're journeying on behalf of. It's so murky, so disempowering. You wouldn't stick your head in somebody else's window to listen to their conversation, and it's a bit like that when it comes to shamanism. If you have a problem with somebody, for example, this is another one, and you need help with that, you don't ask about that person. What's wrong with this person? What can they do to change? None of that. What can I do to affect change in this relationship? How can I make changes? Yeah, so it's always about yourself, not about anyone else. It's a really important ethical boundary when we work with shamanic practice. So yeah, I don't want to labour the point too much, but please do not work with other people without training. It's dangerous. That is dangerous. Great. Okay. One other little ethical point to remember is if you're on a journey and you meet a being that offers you something in exchange, then you say no. Turn it down. We don't do bartering. Okay, do you remember the old stories about the fairy worlds when you would go through the hawthorn or whatever the tree was, and they always have to ask, is this given freely and without obligation? So that's what we're doing, okay? We're remembering these folk stories are there for a reason. Is this given freely and without obligation? Great. If you want something in return, walk away. I was given that piece of advice and found it really, really helpful. Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed this workshop. We're going to finish, remember, with a healing circle, which we're going to go ahead and do in a minute. I'm just going to check that there's nothing else that I want to say today. Make sure that I've covered everything. Because I do these a lot, so sometimes I don't look at my notes and forget things. Okay. Great. Oh yeah. So the final thing. You are the master of your own destiny. You decide. You can Google things, you can ask for advice, but do not give your power away to other people. Only you know
what is right for you. So if a friend or someone you know works in a slightly different way and they say, oh no, that's not the way, it's this way. No, there is no right or wrong way. You do what feels right to you. So if you're here and you're doing this workshop and say you also work with crystals or Reiki, great, weave them together. There's no reason why you can't do that. There is no reason why you can't do that. And anybody that tells you otherwise, that's a controlling boundary issue. Yeah? You're the master of your own destiny. What I will teach you is to be an empowered person. I will teach you to walk an empowered spiritual path, drawing from the vast plethora of opportunity that's out there in this realm, whether it's from books, Google, whatever, or from our guides and the information we get from them. You can really start to pull it together and make this magical map that it's just yours. It just works for you. Yeah? Anybody who's a bit more like, oh, I need like steps and I need guidance, I offer that. But the outcome, the overall outcome of what I provide for you through all of my free material actually is a way for you to build a map that works for you, is a way for you to overcome the shackles of the past so that you can lead a confident, joyful life. And when stuff gets hard, because it will get hard, you've got a toolkit of things that you can use to support yourself with those difficult times in life. So this is just the beginning, and I can't wait to see you in our group. I can't wait to see you talking about the podcast. I can't wait to see you maybe in some of the other things that we do. This is just the beginning. If you've struggled today, don't worry. It's perfectly normal. Stick at it, and you will find your way with this work. So we're going to finish off with a healing circle now. The healing circle is not, some things can be quite active. You might end up in a wee journey, which is fine. You might just feel super relaxed. But the point of this is from my heart to yours. It's so that we're just going to offer a healing transmission. So if there's any wee blocks or wee things that we can shift today, that's what we'll do. And it will just help you. The intention for this healing transmission is to just help you to shift any wee blocks you're having to the work. Okay? So if you want to go ahead for one last time and lie down somewhere comfortable where you won't be disturbed, maybe a blanket would be nice. And we will be in this space for not too long. It's just a nice introduction to the healing transmissions that we offer at the centre. Okay. We need to cut this bit out, the computer just went on. Take some nice deep breaths. Feeling your energy settling. Feeling your body relaxing. So we call now on the divine light of the universe. We call on the infinite possibility of this wonderful universe that we live in, this wonderful life that we live. We feel our guides with us as we enter this healing space, this sacred healing temple of light, through space and time for every person
who takes part in this transmission. We ask that each person receives exactly what is right for their best and highest good. The space is open. We give thanks and deep gratitude for this work, for this connection, and for this opportunity. Thank you. The space is now closed, but blessings continue to flow. Thank you so much for being here, for taking the time out of your busy life to look for something special, to look for something new, to connect with something deeper. And what you'll find is the thing you're looking to connect with is yourself. Blessings on your journey.